Hi everybody, welcome to another arts and crafts video. For this video, we're going to be making something a little bit similar to the printmaking with foam plates craft, but a miniature version of that. We're going to be making stamps with foam plates and cardboard. So as you probably guessed, you're going to need a foam plate and some cardboard for this craft. You don't need a whole cardboard box, you just need maybe one of the flaps of the box. You also want to grab a pair of scissors, a pencil, some liquid glue, a brush, either a brush or a small sponge, and some paint. Acrylic. I'm going to be using acrylic paint, but you can use finger paint, tempera paint, whatever you have that's safe and lying around the house. And you need a piece of paper to test out your stamps, and you'll also need a dry erase marker. And that's it. So let's go get started. Before we start on our foam stamps, whatever it is that you want to make a stamp of, like if you want to make a star stamp or a flower stamp, just practice drawing it a little bit on a piece of paper or your sketchbook, just so you can get comfortable and confident drawing it onto the foam plate. So to kind of get us started, I'll show you very quickly how to draw a flower, a heart, and a star. I'll show you how to make a little flower. So it's just it's just one circle like that, and then some bumps or semicircles for the petals, and then I'll draw a heart, and a star. Just to make it a little more interesting, I'm gonna give my stars and my heart little happy faces, so I think it'll be cute. So I actually erased the first flower that I made, and I made a new one that's a little bit bigger, just because I thought the first one I drew was pretty small. The smaller you make your stamps, the harder it's gonna be, and probably the bigger you make it, the easier it's gonna be. So the next step is just roughly cutting these out. You don't have to cut it out perfectly just yet. I'm just gonna kind of cut around it just to kind of separate the three stamps. See, so I'm just cutting like this, kind of giving them plenty of space. Now I'm gonna go in and carefully cut the actual shape. Alright, so now we're gonna take our pencil, and it doesn't have to be sharp. I don't know if you can see it, but my pencil is kind of dull. Just use your pencil and trace any details that you have in your stamp to make an indent. Let me show you my sample. Like for my first star, I drew the happy face with the pencil, and if I rub my finger along it, I can feel the bumps. So just go ahead and just draw the details on the inside of the stamp. I'm gonna do the same for the heart. This is why I said it's easier to make a bigger stamp and it's harder to make a very, very tiny stamp, just because you might not be able to get to all the fine details with your pencil. And now I'm gonna do the flower. So now we come to the point where we're gonna start assembling our stamp. So you take your cardboard and your glue. Instead of actually just gluing the stamp onto the cardboard by itself, what I started doing is I cut a little strip of cardboard like this, and then I cut a little very small rectangle, and I glued that to the back like this of my stamps. This is a little too small for my flower, so I'm gonna just add another piece to it like that, and then just put glue onto that cardboard, and then glue it onto the bigger cardboard, and just kind of let it hang out and dry for a little bit. So once you've given your stamps a little time to dry, take your scissors again and just very carefully start cutting them out. Alright, so the last step is to put paint on the stamps and actually stamp them onto paper. If you want to be extra careful, you can kind of leave them for a few more minutes to dry, just in case, or you can just leave them until you finish setting up your paints. So I'm using acrylic paint, and this is my brush. I'm gonna use a brush just because a brush makes it easier to apply on these little tiny stamps. But if you have if you only have a sponge at home, you can use it too. This is a kitchen sponge. I cut it in half, and then I cut the half in half to make this tinier sponge. You can apply the paint directly to your brush or onto your sponge, or I forgot to mention this in the beginning, you can take like a coffee can lid, which is what I'm gonna do, and you can just put it like that. Or you can, if you have another paper plate or a foam plate, you can just apply it and do the same thing. You can also do this with like plastic wrap or tin foil. You just want something that you can kind of put your paint on and go like that, basically. So I'm gonna apply some paint. You want to make sure that there's no white parts of the foam plate sticking out, but you also don't want to put too much paint. So I think I have a good layer on here. So now all that's left to do is stamp it on the paper. So let's see what happens. And I'm just gonna use my hand and kind of squish it like that, and now very carefully lift it, and it doesn't look too bad. I think I didn't press hard enough, so that's why there's these little cloudy bits, or it could be that I didn't put enough paint on there. I'm gonna try out the other stamps. And there's my star stamp. It looks kind of goofy. If you want to use them over and over, just take your pencil or your pen and kind of retrace the details that you made, and just kind of scoop out the paint that's in there. And you can, I don't have a napkin around me, but you just clean it with a napkin, and then it's ready for another layer of paint and another stamp. And that's how you can make your own little foam stamps. What I ended up doing was I took my brush and my paint and I just filled in the little gaps that were missing paint. You can certainly do that too. Part of the fun of making these is just seeing what happens. You can decorate your notebooks, the covers of your notebooks, or you can decorate wrapping paper. Like if you wrap a present in craft paper, you can make a stamp and just put a whole bunch of like hearts all over it. So that's all for now. I hope you guys are inspired to make something cool. If you want to, you can share what you make with us, either by posting a photo on our Facebook page or emailing us a photo of the crafts that you do. We always love to see what you guys come up with. So I'll see you guys next week. Happy crafting. Take lots of care.